Hi guys, I'm feeling very crafty today. Are you feeling crafty too? Oh, good, I'm glad. I wanted to make a bird feeder, and I thought you might like to make a bird feeder too. So at my home, I already have some bird feeders set up, but not everybody does. And the good thing about having a bird feeder is that it brings birds closer to your home so you can watch and observe them and learn more about them. There's a lot of different kinds of bird feeders, and I want to teach you to make a couple of really simple ones with things that you might have at home already. One thing we need to keep in mind when making a bird feeder is what kind of food are we going to feed the birds? It all depends on the kind of bird. Birds are different. Some birds eat plants, some birds eat insects or meat from other animals, and some birds eat a combination of both. So I'm going to show you some birds and tell you what they like to eat, okay? So this one here is two birds here. This is one that we get both of these here in Souk, but this is the robin. And robins, we always see pictures of robins eating worms, but robins actually share their diet about 50-50. They eat half berries, fruit, and plants, and then the other half of the food they eat comes from insects, worms, bugs, and other little creatures like that. If you've ever seen these robins eat salmon berries when the salmon berries are all ripe, it is so cute. They swallow it whole in one big gulp. Another bird you may know is a hummingbird. And if you know about hummingbirds, their long, slender beak is made for sipping nectar out of the inside of a flower. But did you know that hummingbirds also like to eat insects and bugs? So if there is a bug that it found that was tiny enough to fit in that little beak, it would gobble it up. So they eat nectar from sweet nectar from fruit and from flowers, and they also eat bugs. You know this guy. Yeah, an eagle. And eagles love to eat meat. They eat salmon, they eat any kind of fish that they can get their little talons into, and they pretty much, their diet consists mostly of meat and other animals. And then there's birds like the seagull or our guinea, and our seagull basically eats, well, anything it can get a hold of. The best food for a seagull, of course, is broken barnacles, clams, small fish, and things that they can find at low tide, but they're really not picky. They'll be happy to eat garbage, even though it's not very good for them. The type of bird that I want to attract to my backyard, the best type of birds to attract with a bird feeder is what's called little songbirds. So those are these little birds like this. This is what I want to attract with my bird feeder. This is a dark-eyed junco. See those all year long. A little sparrow. A towhee. They're so cheeky. You'd be very lucky if you saw one of these at your feeder in the summertime. A little wren or a nuthatch. These are great little creatures. They have the most cleverly adapted feet that they can climb up a tree, but they can also climb down a tree backwards and forwards. They're kind of like Spider-Man. I would love to see one of those at my feeders. And chestnut-backed chickadees too. We see lots of those all year long. So I'm hoping to attract some of these birds. If your family is very lucky, you might already have some ready-made birdseed that you can buy at the hardware store or the grocery store. And in it, there's already all the delicious types of seeds that songbirds might like. And in this one, let's look inside. Okay. There are sunflower seeds. You know those, right? Little sunflower seeds. There are little pieces of cracked corn. You know corn like popping corn? These are dried corn kernels, and they've been crunched up so that they're easier to fit in the bird's little tiny beak. There's these little tiny round glossy seeds. Those are millet. You can eat millet. People can eat millet as well as cracked corn and sunflower seeds. And what else I see in here? A peanut. Yep, I found a peanut. There's a peanut in there. They love nuts. And it looks like there's some whole oats in here as well. So if you're really lucky, you have already mixed birdseed, which you can use. But if you don't, how can you use what's in your pantry? So if you have some sunflower seeds already in your pantry for eating, those can go in your birdseed. If you have other seeds, like these are some tiny sesame seeds, you might even have some millet uncooked. if you have peanuts, that's a great thing. You have to watch for salt though. In your sunflower seeds, in your peanuts, you want to make sure that they're not too salty because it's not great for the birds. But the peanuts, if you're worried about them being too big, you can chop them up, or this is a great kid job, you can crush them up with a mortar and pestle. Have you ever done that before? If your family has one of these, it's a big heavy stone bowl with this tool called a pestle, and you take some of the nuts or spices or anything you want to crush up, and you grab this like a hammer and then you crush it. Look at that, all crushed up. Isn't that cool? So you could crush up some peanuts, put some unsalted sunflower seeds in there. If you have any dried fruit like raisins, or these are called currants, you can put a tiny bit of dried fruit in there as well. And you can put oats. But I gotta tell you about oats. These are some of my favorite. These ones are they're called instant oats. You just add a little bit of boiling water and poof, in a couple minutes, you got oatmeal. It's the best thing ever. But these are not good for birds' tummies. What happens is when it goes inside the bird's tummy, it goes poof, and it swells up, and it's not great. But if you can get oats like these, I'll show you. They're like cracked oats or whole oats, like these ones. See how they're not pressed flat? Those oats are pretty good for birds. You could add some of those in as well. Once you have your bird seed ready to go, then you're going to need something to stick it to. I'm excited about this part. So we are going to stick it to some toilet paper rolls. Da, 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 da. I bet you have some of these hanging around your house. And how are we going to make the bird seed stick to the roll? How are you going to make it stick to there so it doesn't fall off? Yeah. If it was a craft project that we weren't going to feed to birds, we could use glue or something, but here's something really sticky that might be in your refrigerator, in your cupboard. It's peanut butter. Super sticky, right? This is going to be our glue. So I'm going to get a little bowl, and I'm going to take a scoop of peanut butter. Well, I'm not measuring this really specifically. I just want it to feel nice and sticky. Maybe one more scoop. There you go. And then, to make this extra fancy, if you have lard at home, lard is like fat that you can use for baking, or I have a bacon grease jar. So every time we cook bacon, we sometimes save some of the fat from it. I don't know if you guys do that. It might be something from the old country. So this is bacon fat, but you gotta make sure your bacon fat isn't too salty. Again, not too much salt for those birds. And then we mix. Fat is really important in everybody's diet. Sometimes we have too much of fat in our diet, but the birds are always looking for more fat, so they love rich seeds, and if they can get a nice bug that has some protein and fat in it, they love it. There we go. So now we've made our peanut butter glue. If you don't have the bacon fat, it's no problem. You can leave that out. Peanut butter will work just fine. Then we have to spread it all over one of these toilet paper rolls. I've never done this before, I'll admit. So this is an experiment for me too. I'll put some peanut butter on here. And I'm going to use this nice flat knife, and I'm going to pretend this is the weirdest shaped cake ever. And I'm going to spread the peanut butter all over the toilet paper roll. Thick enough that the seeds will stick, but not so thick that it's just going to droop off. If you put your bird feeder in the sun, all that peanut butter and that bacon fat is going to melt, and it's going to drip onto the ground, which you don't want. What you want it to do is to attract birds that can fly, not rats and mice that crawl around the ground looking for treats that have fallen. Oops. Don't tell anybody I just did that. Just kidding. Okay, I'm going to stick my little fingers inside the toilet paper roll so they don't get super sticky. Some people like getting sticky though. I think you could probably use any kind of nut butter you want, like almond butter or soy butter. But I have peanut butter. So there we go. Sticky peanut butter roll. Now, next part. I'm going to get a plate or a dish, and I'm going to put my nut mixture in there. So I'm going to plop my bird seed in there. enough to cover the bottom. Then I am going to take my peanut butter roll and roll it in the seeds. And as I roll it, I'm going to squish it down a little bit and make sure I'm covering it with all those nice bird seeds. Oh my goodness, is this working? Is it working, friends? That looks pretty cool. Look at it, it's sticking, it's working. Oh, awesome. Shake, 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 shake it. It worked. Now, how are we going to get this roll onto a tree or a tree branch or something like that, way out of the reach of those hungry little rats and mice? Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to take a string and thread it through. So here is a nice cotton string. I'm going to thread it through. So I'm going to drop it through the middle of the tube. Will it work? Oh, I hope so. Wish me luck. Here we go. Looks like I'm going fishing. All right, I'm going to lift up the tube. Did it pop out the other side? It did. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. There we go. So if you know how to tie a knot, that is wonderful. If you don't know how to tie a knot, you can very kindly ask someone who does in your family. Say, excuse me, please, can you help me tie this knot? And if you're in a hurry, they can do it for you, but it's kind of cool if you learn how to do it yourself. So there is a knot. And this is going to hang like a Christmas tree ornament off a tree branch. Now, if you want to have an extra treat for your birds, some of the birds are nesting now. Most of them are quite finished, but some of them might still be nesting. You could tuck inside this tube like a little nesting treat. So I found some cotton wool, soft cotton wool. Don't you think they'd love to put this in their nest? Yes. So I'm going to tuck it in there. And even hair, I know this sounds weird, but hair from your pet or hair from your own hairbrush. The only thing is, if you have long hair like me, you have to cut it, because apparently if you leave your hair and it's very, very long, it can wrap around the little bird's feet and it's really hard to break. So I'm going to tuck this little bit of hair in there. And if you have a little bit of yarn you want to put into or string, you can. The trick is, though, again, is it really should be something natural, so something made out of cotton, not acrylic, not made of plastic. I'll take these little bits of thread and I'll stick that in there too. And so when the birds are eating, they might also want to take a little bit of this nesting material. Cool, huh? There's Birdfeeder number 1. So that is how you can make one kind of bird feeder, but I'm going to show you one more way. And I've never done it before, so this is an experiment. I don't even know how it's going to turn out. We'll find out together, though. Experiments are fun. This type of bird feeder, you're going to need to use an apple, and I've chosen a kind of a small one. You're also going to need a lot of equipment for this one. So this might not be the bird feeder for you, but I'm really curious to try it. You're going to need your peanut butter and fat mixture. Again, you're going to need some of that. And you're going to need your seeds again. You're also going to need a grown-up to help you with this one, because your grown-up is going to be cutting your apple for you. You need something really sharp and pokey, like a wooden skewer, or I'm going to use this meat thermometer, because we're actually going to be poking a big hole through this apple. And you need some little baby cookie cutters, or these things called a melon baller. Have you ever seen these before? Do people have these anymore? This one's probably almost like 100 years old. A melon baller is a really neat spoon. You use it for scooping out perfect round spheres, a ball shape, out of watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew. And you can even use these to scoop out the insides of strawberries if you want to fill them, or with ice cream if you want to be extra fancy. So if you have one of these will be helpful. The grown-up job is first, which is to cut your apple in half. Again, this is definitely a grown-up job. Please don't try this. Get a grown-up to do it. So if you can cut it right in half from the stem to the bottom, that's how this works. Now I'm going to put the knife safely away. I'll be right back. I just don't want it hanging around on the cutting board. Okay, the knife is away. I'm going to open it up. Beauty. Now you can use your cookie cutter, if you have a little baby cookie cutter, to cut a shape out of the middle of your apple. There's all kinds of shapes in here. I actually have an apple shape. Oh wow, an apple in an apple? That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to push down really, 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 really hard and to try to get it in there. Not all the way through though, just a little bit deep, but not all the way through. And then I'm going to pull it out. Easier said than done, Miss Lisa. This is going to take some muscle. There we go. Now I'm going to use my melon baller, if you have it, and I'm going to carve out the apple that was inside of that cookie cutter shape. Aren't melon ballers neat? They look like a round knife, but they're not sharp. They're really not sharp at all. They're just really good at cutting out perfect little circles. Wow, I really cut deep. Okay, and I'm going to get that little bit out. So now I have a cute little apple. Adorable. Now I'm going to have to poke a hole in it. Now this is the tricky part. You're going to need grown-up help for this as well. I'm going to use my meat thermometer, and I'm going to poke a hole. I want to poke in the top and have it come out the bottom. So this is why you need a grown-up, because you need to do it firmly, but you also don't want to poke yourself. All the way through. Like that. And that is where we are going to put some thread, some string, or some wire. You're going to put it through there and come out the bottom. I'm going to go try that. I'll be right back. Alright, so putting the string in was a bit harder than I thought, so I want to show you a trick. I took the end of the string I was going to use and I kind of bunched it up into a little ball, and I poked it in the very beginning of the hole. But because the hole is small, it doesn't fall through. So I used my pokey stick again, and I just kept pushing it in. And then, look what came in the inside. The string is poking out. I'm going to do the same thing down at the bottom, kind of crush it in there like a little ball, and then use whatever poking tool you chose to squish it through to the other side. And if I'm really lucky, will it come out? Just about. My mom always said, patience is a virtue. Alright, so there is my string. Ta-da! What a beautiful necklace. So I'm going to use this string for hanging it up. I'm going to tie a really, really super big knot on the bottom. Big, big knot. So big that it won't slip through the apple. This is really good practice. If you are learning how to tie knots, you just tie a knot, and then another knot, and then another knot, until it's a big lump like that. And did it work? Sure did. Sure did. Now it's hanging like that. Okay. What you want to do on the top is you want to loop some way to hang it. So I am going to tie a loop. Just like that. Voila. Now is my bird feeder done? No, not yet, because we got to put some food in it, right? Let's put some food in it. I'm going to get my peanut butter concoction here, mixed in with some bacon fat. And I'm going to put it inside. Filling it up. Use my finger to get it in. Then the last thing we need to do is fill it up with lots and lots and lots and lots of birdseed. Right in that little hole, and tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. Get that in there. There we go. Let's give it a little scrape to make it look extra fancy. I don't think the birds are picky though. There we go. And so this one, we can go and hang it outside on a tree up high so it doesn't touch the ground, or so other little creatures that are ground dwellers can't get at it. Messy, fun, pretty cute. Let's go put it on a tree, okay? I'll add a picture to the end of the video. Bye, guys. Oh, before I go away, I forgot to remind you guys of something. All this mess now that we've made, it's been super fun, but please don't forget to help your family clean up. Because in kindergarten, just like when you're homeschooling, when we make a mess, we clean it up. That's right. Go help your family clean, okay?